You're driving alone at night. A song comes on. You've heard it 100 times before, but something happens. The hairs on your arms stand up. A wave of something, not quite sadness, not quite joy, rolls through your chest. And for a few seconds, you feel like you're in a movie about your own life. Then it's over. And you hit replay. What just happened? Why does a sequence of sound waves make your body physically react like that? Why does music reach inside you and pull at something you can't even name? There's an answer. And it's not what most people think. Here's what almost everyone believes. Music gives you chills because it makes you feel something deeply. You have a strong emotional reaction, and your body expresses it physically. Simple. And if you think about it, it seems to check out. The songs that hit hardest are almost always personal. A song from a specific summer. A song connected to someone you lost. A song that was playing the night something changed. The music carries the memory carries the feeling becomes physical. Chills explained. This sounds right. It feels right. Most people never question it. But there are two problems with this explanation that completely fall apart under pressure. Problem 1. Sometimes music gives you chills the very first time you hear it. No memory, no history, no personal connection. You just press play on something new, and your skin reacts. If chills were purely about memory and emotion, that shouldn't be possible, but it happens all the time. Problem 2. Not everyone experiences this at all. Studies suggest that somewhere between 50 and 70% of people get physical chills from music. The other 30 to 50%? Nothing. No reaction, no matter how beautiful or powerful the music is. If this were just about feeling emotions deeply, everyone would feel it. Humans all have emotions, but not all humans get chills, which means something else is going on, something specific, something neurological, and it has almost nothing to do with how emotional you are. The chills you get from music have a scientific name. Researchers call it frisson. It comes from the French word for shiver, and it's been studied seriously for decades. Here's what they found. When you experience frisson, your brain releases dopamine. Not after the song ends, not when you reflect on how beautiful it was, at the exact moment of the chill. Real dopamine. The same chemical involved in pleasure, motivation, and reward. The same one your brain releases when you eat something delicious or achieve something you worked hard for. And the release happens in two distinct phases. The first phase is anticipation. Your brain detects that something is building in the music. A tension, an escalation, a shift coming, and it releases dopamine in advance. Before the moment even arrives, your brain is essentially rewarding itself for predicting correctly. The second phase is the moment itself. The tension resolves. The musical expectation is either fulfilled perfectly or subverted in a way that still feels right. Dopamine floods again. The chill is the physical expression of both of those hits landing at once. There's actually a study that proves this in the most direct way possible. Researchers gave participants a drug called naltrexone. It's a medication that blocks dopamine receptors in the brain. The same drug used to treat opioid addiction, because it shuts down the reward system entirely. Then they played music that had previously given those people chills. Nothing. The same songs. The same people. Complete silence from the nervous system. No goosebumps. No shivers. No physical reaction whatsoever. When the drug wore off and dopamine receptors came back online, the chills returned. That experiment basically closed the debate. Frisson isn't about emotions in some vague, poetic sense. It's a chemical event. Block the chemical, and the feeling disappears. It's that mechanical and that precise. But here's the part that should make you pause. Music has no biological value. It's not food. It doesn't keep you safe. It doesn't help you survive. So why is your brain releasing a survival-level reward chemical for a pattern of sounds? Because your brain isn't really responding to music. It's responding to prediction. Your brain is a prediction machine. That's its primary function. It takes in patterns from the world, builds expectations based on those patterns, and constantly tries to guess what comes next. This runs automatically below the level of conscious thought every second of your life. Music is a system of patterns. Rhythm, melody, harmony, tension, resolution. Your brain absorbs those patterns even without any formal training, just from years of listening, and starts building expectations from them. When music plays with those expectations in exactly the right way, when it builds tension and releases it perfectly, or surprises you in a way that still feels inevitable, your brain registers that as a reward, not for surviving, but for predicting correctly, and for being surprised beautifully. The chill is the neurological reward for a perfectly resolved prediction. That's it. That's the whole mechanism. Now here's where it gets personal. Not everyone experiences frisson, and it's not random. Research consistently links it to a personality trait called openness to experience, a dimension that includes curiosity, imagination, and comfort with abstract thinking. People high in openness are significantly more likely to get chills from music. And brain imaging shows why. Their auditory cortex, the region that processes sound, has stronger neural connections to the areas responsible for emotion and social processing. Sound and feeling are more tightly wired together. For them, music isn't just sound. It's information. Their emotional system takes seriously and responds to physically. For people who don't experience frisson, those connections are weaker. Music is processed more as sound and less as feeling. It's not that they feel less in general. Their brains just route music differently. Once you understand the prediction-reward mechanism, you start noticing it everywhere. A key change gives you chills, because it's your musical expectation being suddenly, beautifully violated. The song shifts to a higher key. Your brain didn't see it coming, but it resolves perfectly. Reward. A quiet song that suddenly gets loud gives you chills because of contrast. Your brain predicted continuation and got escalation instead. The surprise lands and dopamine fires. A vocalist hitting a note you didn't expect makes your skin react before you've consciously registered what happened. The prediction system moves faster than thought, and a song that used to give you chills stops giving them after you've heard it too many times. Because your brain now knows the pattern completely. Every move is expected. Nothing to predict. Nothing to reward. That first listen is almost always the most powerful, because that's when your brain is learning the structure in real time and being surprised by it as it unfolds. That's also why people keep chasing new music. Not just curiosity. The brain gets more reward from patterns it's still figuring out. This also explains why live concerts hit differently than listening at home, even when the sound quality is objectively worse. At a concert, your brain isn't just tracking the music. It's tracking thousands of other people tracking the same music at the same time. You can feel the crowd react. You sense the collective anticipation before a drop. You hear 10,000 people exhale at the same moment. Your brain reads all of that as social synchronization, and it adds an entirely separate reward layer on top of the musical one. Two systems firing at once instead of one. That's why people cry at concerts over songs they've heard hundreds of times and never cried to at home. The social dimension unlocks something the headphone experience simply can't replicate. And here's one more thing you've probably felt without having a name for it. The end of a song hits harder than the middle. Not always, but often. The final chorus, the last note, the moment before silence. There's a particular intensity to it that the rest of the song doesn't quite have. Here's why. As a song approaches its end, your brain knows the pattern is about to close. The prediction system starts anticipating loss. The reward is about to stop. That creates its own tension, completely separate from the musical structure itself. The result is a kind of bittersweet sharpness in those final moments, which is exactly why you reach for the replay button before the song even finishes. Your brain is trying to delay the ending, to stay inside the prediction loop just a little longer. So what do you actually do with this? First, if you want to reliably trigger frisson, look for music built around strong tension and release. A long build-up followed by a drop. A slow section that suddenly opens up. Composers and producers do this on purpose. They're engineering your dopamine response, whether they know it or not. Second, listen to something new. Not because variety is virtuous, because familiar music has already taught your brain every trick it has. The surprise is gone. New music is full of unresolved predictions waiting to pay off. Third, remove distractions. Frisson requires genuine cognitive engagement. If you're half listening while scrolling your phone, your brain isn't tracking the patterns closely enough to get the reward. Headphones, dark room, nothing else. People consistently report stronger frisson under those conditions. And if you rarely or never get chills from music, that's not a flaw. It just means your brain routes music differently. You probably get that same prediction reward hit from other things. A plot twist in a story, an elegant argument, a move in a game you didn't see coming. Same mechanism, different trigger. Here's the thing that stays with me. Music doesn't exist in nature. No other species invented it the way humans did. And yet we've been making it for at least 40,000 years. We know because archaeologists have found bone flutes that old. 40,000 years ago, someone with no food security, no shelter guarantee, no safety, carved a flute and played it. Why? One leading theory is that music was social glue. It synchronized emotional states across a group. If everyone in the tribe felt the same thing at the same moment, they were more likely to cooperate, to trust each other, to survive together. The chills you feel when a song hits just right might be an echo of that. Your nervous system responding to something that for tens of thousands of years meant, we are together, we are the same, we are not alone. Music reaches deep because it was built to reach deep. Not just by composers, by evolution itself. That's why you hit replay. If this kind of thing interests you, you know where the subscribe button is.